morning, evening, whatever. Today's lesson is on demand. The law of demand is basically the study of how consumers react to changes in prices relative to a particular good or service. Now, when it comes to demand, there's two main things that we have to know and differentiate, and this will be the hardest thing for you to understand. One, demand itself, and two, quantity demanded, and how price interacts with both of them. All right, let me say this, and this is the most important thing for you to take away. Price will not change demand. Let me say that again. Price will not change demand. Price changes quantity demanded. So what do I mean by this? Well, if I were to ask you, how many of you would like to have a Bentley? Probably many of you would say, yes, I would love to have a Bentley. Okay? Notice I did not factor price into that equation. All right, if I tell you that a Bentley costs $250,000, then maybe some of you can afford it and actually will buy it. Many of you, in fact, most of you will not. All right, Bentley is out of your price range, but you still want it. But if the price of a Bentley were to drop, say, to $10,000, the same number of people would want a Bentley. The demand hasn't changed for the Bentley. What has changed is the quantity demanded. Because at $10,000, more of you have an ability to purchase the Bentley. So again, demand is not impacted by a change in price. Quantity demanded is impacted by a change in price. Second, or is it third? I don't know numbers. Demand has an inverse relationship between price and quantity. So what does this mean? Well, that means as price goes up, as things become more expensive, quantity demanded will go down. Or as price goes down, quantity demanded will go up, will increase. Okay? And so as we look at the chart here, I'll explain that same thing. I want you to look at only the black line, the black demand curve on the chart as it pertains to the law of demand. Okay, let's take a look. All right, and for now you can ignore this red line. Let's look only at the black. You'll notice here that at this point, okay, at point A, when the price is roughly $6.50, the quantity demanded is 10 units. So what does this mean? And this could be for any product, doesn't matter the product, but for sake of argument, let's call it packs of gum. Okay, so let's say this is the demand for gum. All right, and so if gum costs $6.50 a pack, very few people relatively will actually make that purchase. But then as the price goes down to say $2 a pack, let's look at part B or point B on here. All right, at $2, now you have the quantity demanded increasing. So we're going to increase this way, we're going to increase this way. Okay, so you see as we move from A to B, the price goes down, the price drops, okay, from $6.50 down to $2. As that price drops, quantity demanded increases. Okay, and that is what we call an increase in quantity demanded. Demand itself did not increase. A drop in price causes an increase in quantity demanded. And on the flip side, an increase in price will decrease quantity demanded. So if we move from B to A, moving from B to A will then cause quantity demanded to decrease from 50 units down to 10 units. Okay? And so next what we're going to talk about during the next lecture is what actually does change demand, and that is what we call the determinants of demand. Because there are things that will shift the demand curve. There are things that will make this demand curve shift from this initial one over to D2, this red demand curve up here. This is causing an increase, or moving from D2 to D1, and decrease in demand. Okay? Our next unit will cover that. Our next lecture will look at the different determinants of demand. Okay? okay? And you should review your notes at looking at those specific determinants, okay? But if we're not talking determinants, if we're only talking price, a change in price, then it only results in a change in quantity demanded or moving along the curve, okay? So moving along the curve is a result of a change in price. An actual shift in demand requires one of the determinants, which is in your book and also in your notes. Okay? And so, let's see if there's anything else to go along with this. Just again, next time, next lesson, and I'm going to post this one at the same time, so you can actually go ahead and click the next lesson. We will look at the determinants of demand and actually shifting the demand curve.